Andrew Wilson debates woke feminists, and this woke feminist got cooked by Andrew Wilson on the Whatever podcast. Andrew Wilson absolutely annihilated her for being so delusional, destroying the romanticized myths surrounding the history of romance and relationships, and being delusional woke feminazi who repeats the same modern woman lies, regurgitates the lies told to her by these woke colleges and universities. And Andrew Wilson here on the Whatever podcast absolutely annihilated this woman and probably ruined her entire career. Let's get into this clip where Andrew Wilson shuts down this woke feminist for her delusional take here on the Whatever podcast.
But chivalry would be like, let's say like 1100 to like I don't know, like 1500, give or take, right? Something in there. That's when they were riding their horses and there were knights, and they would be like, lady, I'll slay the dragon for you, type of thing, right?
I'll pick a yes or no. I definitely want one of those compared to these.
Yeah, right. But do you think in those eras that men were more or less likely to slap a woman to correct her?
Oh yeah, I know that.
In the age of peak chivalry, they were more likely to slap women to correct them.
It's good. It's a good combo.
In the age of chivalry, they were more likely to slap women to correct them. But you think that it's the most chivalric thing to do to not slap women to correct them.
It depended your rank.
Whoa, that was a W. That was a W.
It was not. It depended on your rank. It depended on your rank. They weren't getting smacked up. They weren't getting hit if they were in a high rank. If you were in a low rank, like duchesses and stuff like that, there's rank. There was rankings. Or if you were in a court,
like your social status at the time.
Yeah,
you guys never watched Reign?
Like a madame.
I'm sorry, you think that kings? I'm sorry, you think that kings shouldn't slap queens?
No, they're queens.
Nah,
of course they did. They smacked them. They would literally correct them in front of the court. They would.
These are just different times too, though.
Andrew, I got the perfect example.
We learned already.
King Henry VIII. This killed six. Wait, not sorry. Hold on. It was divorced. Wait, what was the order? Divorced.
Okay, listen. I just want to let you know, queens had to bow to their kings, and if queens needed correction, kings should smack them. Princes with princesses, same things. They could smack them. If you had knights, and the knights had women of noble stock who were in their homes, who were out of line, they actually had what was called dominion over the wife. The reason you take a last name is because of English common law that is giving you as an extension, the father is giving you the woman.
You guys sound like you're getting hit a lot.
Hang on, I'm just explaining this. It's giving the woman to the man. And now you have the man's last name. You're now part of his house. You became part of his property. Do you think it was more or less likely in those times for a man to be like, "Oh, you're out of line"? Which one? In the most chivalric time ever.
I think the term was like coined then, but I don't think that it's necessarily how. Like, it's more chivalrous now, but it was just a term that was coined then.
Really quick.
It's more chivalrous now? Men are more chivalrous?
I got to pull this up.
Then what the hell do we need feminism for? If we have maximum chivalry, what do we need feminism for?
There was no Captain Save-A-Hose back in the day. At least they gave you a house and like a horse and protected.
They didn't give it to you. You were part of their property.
Wait, one sec, guys. I got to pull this up. Okay, so King Henry VIII, look at this Giga Chad. So he lived 1491 to 1547, and so he had 6 different wives, 6 different queens. Divorced the first one, beheaded the second, the third one died, divorced the fourth, beheaded the fifth, and then the sixth, she survived. He beheaded 2 of his wives. Beheaded! Not just smacked around. Beheaded, son. Beheaded?
Yeah, and he could.
Beheaded. Anne Boleyn. Whoosh, beheaded.
By the way, Ryan, now pull up the date for the chivalric code.
Chivalric code.
No, right.
Yeah.
By the way, pull up the article really quick though. Pull up the article scroll down, go to marriages.
This is a whole different time period. I don't see a whole different time period.
Click marriages.
Y'all hear these feminists right here just trying to go ahead and defend their own stupid arguments. This is a different time period. There were those men like that. Back then, there was no Captain Save-A-Ho and nothing that. Jeez, come on now. Just admit you were wrong and just admit that, the points that you learned aren't really true and aren't true at all, okay? Today, there's a lot of men out there who are not, being chivalrous today because of the fact that modern feminism killed it. Okay. And that's something that a lot of feminists, including these feminists here on this panel, don't want to admit. Okay. It's like there's women out there who say, I could do this myself. I'm independent and stuff. I don't need a man. I can do bad by myself. Right until they need help with the strenuous task and stuff out in public. They need something. They need a man to go ahead and lift something heavy to put into their car. They need a man to go ahead and kill an insect. They need a man to go ahead and fix a problem on their car. They need a man to fix an issue on their house or apartment or whatever. You see, feminism is strong with them, right until they need a man, it flies right out the window. Okay, they treat this as a piece of clothing that they take off and put back on and stuff, when it's convenient. All right. But to them, men are convenient. They just don't want to admit that particular truth. And yes, they're going to be set in their ways and stuff. And even as you all notice, when they're being given some history here, some history that I didn't even think about, didn't even know and stuff, they continue to, continue on with these stupid arguments that they have and stuff, trying to go ahead to defend themselves because their pride, their ego is keeping them from being to take accountability. Basically, okay? They're not taking accountability because of their pride and their ego, okay? And granted, we've seen this decades from men and stuff, but guess what? We're having this conversation about the women out there who refuse to take accountability, okay? And especially these woke feminists here on the Whatever podcast.
Okay, damn. Catherine, babe, scroll down. Keep going. Let's see the other ladies. Boom. Anne Boleyn, babe status. He beheaded her though. Jane Seymour, she died. Sad, very sad. Next, Anne of Cleves divorced her because apparently his advisors, his court painter, painted a portrait unrepresentative, like made her more attractive than she actually was, but he was already committed to marrying her. He thought she was not very attractive. Divorced because she was not a babe. Scroll down.
Catfish.
Yeah. Catherine Howard. Now she was doing some philandering. She was on some 304 strumpet shit. Beheaded, allegedly. Well, the beheading wasn't alleged. The strumpeting was alleged. And then finally, she got beheaded though.
She was 17. I mean, most of them were.
Yeah.
Like, you'd get married at like 13.
And the kings were like
what?
50.
Why was everyone like ugly in the portrait? Scroll down.
I gotta read. Just real quick.
Go ahead.
You can find this in this fine book called Occult Feminism. There's a chapter here on chivalry. This will be very quick. I promise I won't waste very much time. Here's the code of chivalry. Thou shalt believe all that the church teaches, and thou shalt observe all its directions. Thou shalt defend the church. Thou shalt respect all weakness, and thou shalt constitute thyself as a defender of them. Thou shalt love the country in which thou was born. Thou shalt not recoil before thine enemy. Thou shalt make war against the infidel without concession and without mercy. Thou shalt perform scrupulous thy feudal duties, and they be not contrary to the laws of God. Thou shalt never lie. Thou shalt remain faithful to thy pledged word. Thou shalt be generous. Thou shalt be everywhere, and always be the champion of the right and good against injustice and evil. Did you see anything? Now, that all sounds great. That all sounds fantastic. Those guys, I want to ask you this question. Do you think that those men at that time period were more or less likely to correct their woman with a smack?
More.
Yeah. Totally. Way more likely to correct them with a smack. So it's like,
were children getting hit back in the day?
If you really want chivalry, and you really want the man who defends a code like that, then a man who defends a code like that is going to defend it for a woman who is an extension of him, who becomes one flesh with him.
Okay, Andrew Wilson has definitely shared some truth with these woke feminists here. These woke feminists just basically stated that they want chivalry, but, they're not seeing any chivalrous men. But Andrew Wilson clearly, gave them literally gave them a textbook example of what chivalry has been throughout history and everything. And that involved even like with physical corrections to that woman and everything. Okay. Don't see that with these, today and stuff, because men are not willing to put their hands on women and everything. But at the same time, you have women out here willing to put their hands on men and escape the consequences and not taking accountability for their actions. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, like, I'll be honest, I'm not for, anyone putting hands on anyone. All right. And Andrew Wilson simply just laid it out there, the truth about what it means for a man to be chivalrous and stuff. A man of chivalry back then in the day, the chivalrous code he read out. And Andrew Wilson shares some truth bombs to these woke feminists and stuff. But guess what? A number of these woke feminists on this panel, on the whatever podcast, are hesitant to accept the truth. Okay. Because they don't, they believe that in chivalry, when it's an advantage for them. Okay. That's all it is. All right. They don't want to admit that. Okay, because that's going to have them seen it as different and stuff, like a lot of other men and women, where a lot of men would not approach them, or a lot of men would not, see them or desire them, and women would not respect them any longer.
That's the only way that you're ever going to get chivalry back, because as famously is stated, chivalry is dead and women killed it.
Yeah, but I don't think we use the term like that nowadays. You know what I mean? That's like not necessarily how we use that term anymore. It's like the idea.
The idea of what?
Of just that men should just be gentlemen. That's
it's the romanticized idea of be nice.
Yeah. And
this is the Disney princess idea that if you're in a coma, the handsome prince will come and kiss you and you'll wake up. All the women's minds in modernity have been Disneyfied. All woman's or female virtues, so all of those that I just read, those were virtues expected of men, and actual virtues expected of men that they had to adhere to. Women also had a specific code of virtues they had to adhere to, and all of that has been abandoned for a single modern virtue for women called be nice. That is the modern, single overriding virtue of all things for modern women is be nice. It has overridden all feminine virtues, and that's why they don't get chivalry. Because men don't give a shit about be nice. It makes no sense. It's silly. Right? Like you saw in the code, for instance, it said to mercilessly hunt down the infidel and take them out on behalf of your nation. That's not very nice, right? It's not very nice. They weren't particularly nice when they were going into battlefields with claymores and cutting people in half. Not very nice. Just saying. The virtues that they were striving towards, very different than virtues in modernity.
Andrew, can you check your text? I sent you a text. If you can check that really quick. Let's see here. I'm going to get into some of the pre-show notes.
No problem.
Life.
Brian. But chivalry.
I'm going to tell y'all this right now. This is crazy. Andrew Wilson has laid it out there plain as day to these woke feminists here on the whatever podcast, and Andrew Wilson once again is correct. Now there's things I disagree with Andrew on when it comes to like politics, but when it comes to like stuff in like the manosphere or red pill things, I actually absolutely agree with him on it, okay, wholeheartedly. Okay, and Andrew Wilson has definitely annihilated these woke feminists here, exposing their dumb arguments with truth as well as history, by the way. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, if you ask for chivalry and stuff, be prepared for the actual definition. And not only the chivalry code, men were under that. Women had a conduct of virtue and stuff to be a virtuous woman. That's based on the Proverbs 31 scriptures in the Bible. Okay. And a lot of these women who were looking for traditional man, they're not living up to that virtuous woman example at all. Okay. So Andrew Wilson has definitely cooked these woke feminists here on the Whatever podcast. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. And I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.